Welcome to the Fear Fiction Podcast. Fearfic is the term for short horror fiction, mostly posted on the web. It includes any and all related subgenres. Join three assholes talking basement goo Slimebeast, inebriated interstellar traveler Abysmii, and irritable ghostly man-horde Dead Palette, as they read all stories horror and internet-related, paragraph by paragraph, and bullshit while they do it. From adolescent revenge fantasies to subtle postmodern narratives about real-life events and everything in between, they read it and critique. You better believe it. Kick it to the cold open, white boy.
I'm not sure if you guys have known this about me, but I like to argue with people.
Really? Because I've never seen you so much as hurt a fly.
I know.
Verbally.
I keep it very on the down low. I used to do, again, not very well known. I used to do like videos where I would like debate somebody who was talking shit. I would say, well, let's talk in Skype and hash things out. But lately,
we've seen you do that quite a few.
No. It's very rare.
Disastrous results.
Very rare. But here's the thing, guys. Nobody will take me up on that anymore, and I don't know why. So I was wondering.
It's a mystery for all time.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody's not wanting to do that anymore. But I was wondering maybe I could pick like one of you and we could have like a little mock debate just so I could have some fun, with an argument when nobody wants to argue with me. What do you guys think?
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
Would Abysmii, DP, which one of you would like to be my sparring partner?
Dude, that's going to be me. I'm pretty contrarian.
All right. So DP, we're going to assume different positions on the issue.
Okay,
and we'll just have a
debate team.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think the legal voting age in the USA should be 16, because I think that young people are most affected by the future of the country, climate change among the top priorities.
Yeah.
And I think that if 16 is old enough to drive,
Terrible opinion, but okay, yeah. Sure.
You're responsible enough to drive a automobile vehicle at 16. Why are you not, capable of thinking and voting? Why do you have to wait until you're 8 fucking teen? It's not tied to military service anymore. So why don't we just lower the age? DP, your counterpoint?
I believe the voting age should be lowered to -16 because they're even more affected by climate change.
That's true. That is true. So by the time
I am ultra pro-life.
By the time you're 16 years away from being born, you should be able to vote.
Conception begins at arousal.
Conception begins at conception of the parent.
Conception begins at puberty of the parent. Yes.
Okay, I see. Well, that was a good thing. We can let people decide in the comments who won. Let's move on to another topic. What do you say?
Okay, sure.
My position is that animals cannot consent to sexual relationships with humans. Now, they don't have the same cognitive abilities we have. They're not as advanced as humans are. Plus, the interspecies relations very rarely bear good, genetic fruit. I don't want to sound, edgy here, but you look at like ligers, you look at, different things like that in nature, and they don't really have long lineages. I don't think they can even reproduce themselves. It's kind of like nature kind of is against, two different species having relations. So I don't think humans. I'm gonna
jump in here with a counterpoint.
Yeah.
Animals do sexually reproduce with humans. They're called parasites, and it's not consensual on our end, but we are cognizant of it.
Abysmii.
So how do you rectify that?
You're an alien, so your opinion doesn't matter.
Well,
we all know Abysmii's
I have an
opinions.
ovipositor, so
Yeah.
I'm not a great source.
Abysmii's opinions on everything, boiling it all down to Chad's and Stacy's. We know. These parasites are procreating.
The Chad botfly versus the virgin human? What?
Yes. Okay, well, so I see we're switching things up. You guys are going like for a debate team kind of thing versus me.
No, so I'm going to take Abysmii has found the pro point. You're the anti. I'm going to be sort of the centrist guy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we can't go around fucking animals except for hyenas because that's what I'm into. And if I'm into it, it should be allowed.
I see. Okay, well, we'll let the people in the comments decide. I have one more debate topic if you guys are up for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. We should. I think that, in this country, we have a long history of progressivism. You know, we're working toward that utopia. We may never reach perfection, but we're always moving toward it. And I think that part of that is not genociding the elderly. Now, I think that all
That's
humans...
a hot take.
Yeah. I think that all humans have value. I think that just because someone is older in years, they should not be shot in the head with a piston, a pneumatic piston, like in a slaughterhouse.
like a cow gun?
Yes, like a cow gun. I really, really, really think that they shouldn't be beaten with Bibles as everyone around them chants, hymns and, sings the praises of Jesus. So counterpoints?
Okay, I think that for our own entertainment, it would behoove us to attach old people to feral bulls
and then
and
fuck
have
them?
bull riding competitions and see if they can withstand it. And if not, they get trampled by the bulls.
And if they do survive it? Okay.
Here's the thing about old people. They're outnumbering us. They're living way too long. They're siphoning off our young blood.
Whoa.
And
Blood drinking rituals with the elderly Abysmii. I don't know where this is going.
They're not pulling their weight. They're getting Social Security. The rest of us aren't going to. Mm-hmm. So, sure, we don't go around just killing all the elderly, but they got to start, contributing to society again.
Whoa.
Somehow.
So what you're saying, I'm hearing a lot of talk from you about parasites, about blood rituals, about controlling the media.
I'm saying, while they're sitting in their old people's homes, you can knit something. You can mine Bitcoin. Do something.
So
listen. You can't.
The rest of us are working 9 to 5s.
Well, I have to work hard to sniff women's hair, and these old people are just going around sniffing young people's hair. It's ridiculous.
So you would have them knit license plates, or what?
Sure. Anything that they can, put to craft and sell as some type of product, or hook them up to the frickin' grid and harvest their energy as electricity. I don't care.
Jesus.
They need to do something.
Go Matrix on them. Go matriarch on them.
Yeah.
Counterpoint. Chelsea and I go to a farmer's market every week.
I thought you were going to say we go to an old folks' home every week.
Well, you find just as many vegetables, but
Hey!
That was a good one.
No.
And there's a lot of people there making cool stuff, and there's always just this old dude selling his soap, and no one wants his soap, and I feel really sad, but I'm not going to pay money for his soap because his soap doesn't look good. It doesn't look like good soap.
It has old man jizz in it, so...
Contributing something is not necessarily better than doing nothing at all.
Well, I'm saying that they shouldn't be in charge of what they're contributing because they don't know better.
And they don't know where they are, and they're not people, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
So let us know in the comments below which opinion you side with. I am on the side of 16-year-old voters, not fucking animals, and letting elderly people live. Let me know if you side with DP and Abysmii.
I believe everyone should have the right to vote 16 years before they are born.
Right.
And at the age of 16,
and
they're too old. They're too old. Take away their right to vote.
I
16, you're too old to vote.
Okay, guys.
16-year-olds can't legally enter into most contracts, so no, they shouldn't be able to vote.
Leave in the comments below if you agree with Abysmii and DP that 16 is too old for you. Anyway, what are we reading today?
We're reading about my insecurities.
Oh. Mayan Securities. Is that a banking company from Mexico or what?
From Central America.
Yeah.
We do all our bookkeeping on ropes with knots. That's our written contractual.
We didn't plan for 2012. We didn't plan that.
Shit.
No.
This is our Y2K.
We're reading 2 dream-based stories from r/stay awake.
r/stay awake. Stay awake. r/stay awake. Something that was recommended to us by all of our viewers and listeners.
Everyone's just
such a great new subreddit.
Dude, everyone try this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's been around since 2014. How we haven't seen it, until now.
1.7 thousand members.
By the way, everyone, try this new CS Lotto loot box gambling. I was doing it earlier today. I won $1 million. Maybe you would too. Now, I have no affiliation with this whatsoever.
And now on to our story. I was playing Raid Shadow Legends when suddenly...
So this is one of many pet projects. Pet projects from Slimebeast.
I
So
think
tell us
Brandon
about
shouldn't be able to vote because of his strokes.
We should also genocide him as if he were elderly.
Listen, if you're dyslexic, how can I know that you're voting for the right person?
Oh God.
Are you voting for a Democrat or a Bimocrat? Like, you can't know.
I like Din Knob. You mean Biden? What?
Huh?
Anyway.
So we're reading 2 stories about dreams from r/Stay Awake, which seems to be a little contradictory. How are you dreaming while you're awake? Already hate this subreddit. But tell us about it, Slimebeast. Why is this valuable?
Why is the subreddit valuable? Because, you see, it's basically a ripoff of No Sleep without the No Sleep rules that we don't like. And that's the entirety of it. So there.
Mm-hmm. So if you know what, feel free to post a No Sleep, but also post here in case No Sleep deletes your post because bullshit reasons. And this way you don't lose it.
That has already happened.
Happens every day, hundreds of times a day, I'm sure.
You have bad news. The troll pasta, the top 15 chills video on the last episode thing got deleted.
Okay, whoever is from our No Sleep who listens to our podcast to find out about that, fucking why would you? What's wrong with you?
Why?
Come on.
Have some taste and class.
But I forget what I was going to say, but yes.
Okay,
that's really that's the
it already happened. Something that was posted here and No Sleep was deleted from No Sleep. So, Stay Awake is a good alternative.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Stay woke, people.
Insecurity by WatsonBox.
Yeah.
Try a new WatsonBox.
What's in the box? Well, you may ask, and I'll tell you. I had this dream. I woke up, if you can call it that, surrounded by trees. As I looked around in dismay, I noticed that the sky was oddly colored, rather than being in the sort of darkness you'd expect from forest.
Okay. If this turns out to be a weird-ass just recollection of a dream with red and crimson every other sentence...
And an evil apple?
An evil apple, I'm going to be very angry. Just saying that right now.
You're going to be Angry Orchard?
You're going to be happy, where the moon is the only source of light for miles. Everything seemed to glow a faint reddish orange, almost like the forest was ablaze, but there was no flames. That's when I noticed something peculiar.
There was a man. It was my father.
There was a man.
My father was a spider. The spider was an apple, and I was the apple. The apple of the moon. The moon ablaze in a forest of apples.
Needless to say, I never got over being traumatized by my dad dressing as Spider-Man that one birthday. I dreams about it forever.
This, I would say, is scene setting pretty well, but it's not striking me as terribly original. So we'll see where this goes.
I would agree. There were 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, that were on Mars. As I fumbled to my feet, I looked around and noticed...
Did I mention I'm a Martian?
No, I'm not. Way beyond Mars. Martians are dicks. As I fumbled to my feet, I looked around and noticed a second. Well, everything. Every tree had a perfect look-alike, every rock an exact pair. Nothing was alone here, not even twigs.
We gotta get out of here, Morty. Everything here comes in twos. We gotta get off this planet.
We can't stay here. This is twig country.
I rubbed my nipple and I noticed I had another nipple. When I touched one nipple, I felt stimulation on the other one.
Yeah. And that's acupuncture. While I was brushing the foliage off of my now ruined shirt and getting my thoughts together, I heard what sounded like leaves crunching in the distance. It's the leaf eater. I ignored it at first. I don't think I would have noticed it at all if it weren't for the complete lack of any other sounds. So these are footsteps we can assume, although I like the idea of something eating leaves.
That animal you don't want to have sex with, right?
Jesus Christ.
What about dinosaurs? Are you really telling me that if you had the chance to fuck a dinosaur, you wouldn't?
What dinosaur are we talking about? Are we talking about like
a female dinosaur? Okay?
Are we talking about like a dinosaur from Theodore Rex?
No, from the Dinosaurs TV show, obviously.
God. I don't know. The daughter was pretty hot. How old was she? I don't know. She's a fucking dinosaur puppet. Get over it.
She was 14 in canon, but she's 14 million years old, essentially.
So what is the dinosaur age of consent?
As we have previously established, if they're dead for long enough, it's eventually legal, I guess. I don't know.
No.
Can I fuck the dinosaur?
There's no expiration date on fucking a dead body. The statute of limitations is never.
I have another t-shirt motto idea.
Can I fuck the dinosaurs from Land Before Time 16 years before they're born?
Oh, God.
God damn it.
What is this show?
You know those t-shirts that they sell on Facebook where it's like, you'd best step back because you don't mess with a rabid soccer mom who could, I'm picturing that, but it's like, it's not legal to ever have sex with a dinosaur, like, just whatever the hell Abysmii just said.
Don't talk to me or my negative 16-year-old son again.
Yes. All right.
As it says very clearly here in Genesis.
As it says right here in Genesis.
16 years before conception.
Rolling around at the speed of sound.
As stated in Sonic 4:17.
A man shall not lay with a tail, says if he were a woman.
Letters to Eggman.
Oh, God.
There it was again, but closer this time. My heart started pounding, my knees weak, while I stood there silently trying to make out what and where it was. The third time the sound came, it couldn't have been more than 20 feet away. I don't know why I'm doing MatPat.
Oh. That's what everybody who dates MatPat says.
You ever just fall into MatPat voice?
Yes.
It's been when it's a long day, yes. Scared as hell, I took off in a full sprint through the forest. Maybe MatPat just doesn't sleep.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Not exactly, dying to figure out what was causing it. I ran for as long and as far as I could, looking for any signs of civilization or anything for that matter.
Do you think that because MatPat has no sleep, that's why he has those videos where he's like, what they aren't telling you about Sonic the Hedgehog? He's actually a communist propaganda.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who was waiting for the paragraph to finish to be like, you know what, MatPat might be a robot or an android. Because he kind of doesn't act human, and I imagine when people talk to him, they kind of just go, hey, MatPat, what do you want for lunch? And he just, pauses for 3 minutes and then says, Freddy Fazbear had lunch once. Let me give you...
It was a child's head.
But it's kind of like he's a computer that's been on too long and hasn't been restarted and hasn't had the system updates, so he's just kind of getting weird and glitchy.
Do you think, when he's trying to order at, a fast food place, eventually the entire ordeal comes to a conclusion with him saying, allergic to peanuts? Don't like fish? That's right. MatPat is going to have a hamburger. As you can see, all the clues have directed us to this moment.
You know what? Don't interrupt me then. Fuck.
Gasp.
Came in whining about the election.
I think the country's in trouble. Shut up, woman! I'm talking about MatPat.
Shirt idea.
Run as a Democrat or a Republican?
No, that's what I want on my shirt. Shut up! I'm talking about MatPat. I feel bad because I'm sorry. There's
Caucus
nothing
for MatPat.
There's nothing in this story to really comment on so far. This is the problem with that last Dream entry we read. It's kind of just stuff, and none of it has a lot of substance. So we're talking about MatPat.
Maybe if we didn't have that past negative experience, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, spousal abuse, meowing cats. Let's get this under control, guys. We're trying to be professional.
All right, I'll mute myself and go let the cat out of the room. Hold on. Go ahead. I'll see you later.
Cat's out of the bag. When I finally stopped, it felt like my heart was about to burst out of my chest. Yeah, nothing's happening.
Yeah. While I bent over trying to catch my breath, I hurriedly looked around to see if I was being followed. What I saw still sent shivers down my spine.
Oh, not a fan of that.
This is a lot of build-up for something that I am not looking forward to. It was hiding behind a tree, so I could see only half of its face, but still, it was definitely me. Yeah, okay, not what I was expecting, but also kind of it.
I gazed in horror at the sight that stood before me, like every time I look in a mirror.
I'm just really hideous, guys. Listen, I'm a mess. I haven't been taking care of myself.
Hey guys, it looked like someone had cut all the way up their cheeks to give them a permanent smile.
Oh no.
Oh no.
They had blood, along with something I'd rather not say, semen, smeared on their face in places where makeup should be. Their hair was patchy and thinning like it had not been cared for, well, ever. I closed my eyes and curled up into a ball, not knowing what else to do.
Is that the reaction you would have?
No, that's fucking run the opposite direction.
Well, I mean, it is a dream, so I mean, the reaction could be, I tried to run away, but I was moving very slowly, and
Yeah,
my
that
father
makes
was
sense.
laughing at me, and...
Yeah. My father was an apple, a laughing
Yes.
apple. A happy appy, if
Dad-
you will.
Daddy Appy.
Oh.
Daddy appy. No, like, wouldn't it make just... Let's go the opposite direction with this. What if it's just like, man, it was me, but like a more successful version of me? Wouldn't that be scarier?
Yeah.
It looked
Everything
at me
I wanted to
horrified.
be that I know I never could be. Everything I doubt myself before they achieve.
It was me, and I was naked, and I was ripped, and I'd been doing those penis exercises.
I remember somebody tweeting that they had woken up in like a forest or something with this dark spirit before them, and the dark spirit brought out another version of themselves, and the other version said, "Enough, spirit! You've shown me enough. I'll change my ways."
Okay.
You're the bad one. Anyway,
Yeah.
Okay, a few moments later, I decided to try opening my eyes. I looked up at the tree and saw nothing.
not even a tree.
I let out a sigh of relief as I gathered my bearings. Oh, it's gone.
Hmm.
So I'm fine now. Relieving all tension in the room. Telling myself that it wasn't real, it can't be real. Well, what now? I muttered quietly under my breast.
Tell me I'm pretty.
It's Paul the whole time.
It's just ball.
That's when I woke up in bed at home, lying in a puddle of sweat.
I just wanted to know if anyone else has experienced something similar, or has any clues as to what it could mean. I'm
Yes,
afraid of what'll happen if I go back to sleep tonight.
Let me tell you, let me assure you, I have experienced something similar. They're called dreams. It's okay.
This is that last line is such like help me write this story because I have nowhere to go with it.
Now, remember what the title of the story is?
Insecurity.
Insecurity. So yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Like it's on the nose though. Like okay,
You know what else is on the nose? A big red pimple. Insecurity, folks.
but
So after that, I have another dream story queued up for you guys to give you like a bit of a wide-ranging sample of what you can find on r/stay awake. You can find microfiction such as that, which is maybe perhaps a bit too much of a realist story where you're just describing a dream you had. Now we'll go on to a more fanciful,
surrealist story.
a surrealist. Well, I'm talking about like it's real as in you could actually just dream that and write a story about it.
Yeah, there's nothing that happened that's impossible in that because you just had a dream.
That
Well-
would be passing all of No Sleep's rules.
I gotta go get some more scotch. I'll be right
Uh-oh.
back.
I like the idea that you just have Martin Luther King posting on r/stay awake. I have a dream that
Yes.
one day people will be judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Cool story.
Yeah.
Totally could happen. It's real.
Too bad it was removed from No Sleep because they said the author wasn't in enough horror. God. Did you hear about that, by the way? I don't know if I mentioned that.
I'm fighting for civil rights, and I think someone's trying to kill me.
Yes! Very much true. Very much true.
Not real, fake.
Yeah, I don't believe
deleted.
it. This isn't horror. I don't know if I even mentioned somebody got their story removed from No Sleep for... I forget what reason it was removed for. But the author contacted the moderator and said, that it wasn't a correct removal. Like it wasn't really violating that rule. And so the moderator hit them back with, actually also the narrator of the story isn't in enough fear. So, it doesn't pass that either. I don't remember what exactly that was, but it was like, way to change up your thing, and I don't think that even is a rule of the subreddit, but okay.
It's like it's categorized under the like not a horror story bullshit.
If the
Which-
narrator isn't scared.
Which, guys, let's take a moment because I know we didn't get a whole lot constructive out of that story, but let's be constructive here. that rule alone is what makes No Sleep such a problem, is not a horror story. Okay, like, that is such a limiting factor to, and so unbelievably subjective that it makes authors insecure, and they're like, okay, we gotta put more skeletons in there, and there's gotta be more of this, and
there's gotta be a paranormal thing, and they gotta throw up because they're so afraid, or else people won't understand.
Yeah. But I think it's important to note that while we obviously aren't huge fans of that story, we're not going to sit here and delete it because we're like, that's not horror.
No, I would never say, like, this doesn't count.
That there may be something we don't understand about that story that hasn't dawned on us. You never know. I mean, we can assume there isn't, but you never know. Maybe the author would come back to us and say, yes, it's supposed to have, X, Y, and Z to it because, the meta thing is this. And you're like, oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
And even outside of that, it could be that they're attempting something that isn't being conveyed well, and that there is a seed of horror there. And if we are to give constructive feedback and say, okay, what is it that you're attempting here? We would be able to get to the heart of the horror story, because obviously there's something horrific about it to them. And I think we can tell from the title alone that it's, I'm having dreams that are bringing up insecurities to me, and this was my creative outlet for it.
I mean, the character, the narrator sees
deleted,
ruined, banned, fuck you, we hate it.
Delete. I am mod.
Fuck you.
I'm glad you brought up mods, because this is the big paradox, and I guess kind of hypocrisy that No Sleep engages in. They sell themselves as this like really immersive, collaborative space where authors can post their stories and then readers stay in character in the comments, and the stories evolve with both parties. But then on the other hand, you have mods being like, no, I don't like that, and completely take away the opportunity to see where that story could have gone, how it could have been interpreted and reacted to.
Right. Or even edited.
Like, they will not give it a chance at all.
Yeah.
Let's do the opposite. Thank you, WatsonBox, for posting a story and giving us something to mull over and think about.
And I'll tell you
Seriously.
what, I personally, when the character is dreaming, they go to sleep and they dream that they see themselves with messed up hair and smile cut into their mouth. Honestly, I'm thinking to myself, is this a dream that Jeff had before he became Jeff the Killer?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Jeff the Killer is excellent material, but maybe,
does Jeff the Killer suffer from body dysmorphia?
Yeah. It makes me wonder. It does make me think, is that what it's about?
Like, you could rewrite Jeff the Killer from that angle and actually have a much more interesting central theme.
I saw myself with, a cut smile and messed up hair and a white face and everything, and I really, really don't want to become that. I'm really scared I'm going to become that iconpasta. It would really suck. Anyway.
But I got something to tell you guys.
Uh-huh.
Every night I dream about hanging from a bridge by my teeth.
Yes.
You too?
Yes.
So it's not just me.
It's my favorite hentai.
By NeolithicTriscuit, and just based on that name alone, I'm hoping for the best here.
NeolithicTriscuit does roll off the tongue pretty well.
The story title or the name of the author? Because they're both pretty strong.
Yeah.
The author.
Both, really. But
Yeah.
The bridge I drove over twice a day on the morning commute was a thick frame of steel blue covered with rusty... I don't know what I did wrong. Frame blue steel covered... What did I say?
You said steel blue.
Yeah, see, you transposed two words, and we felt that it was necessary to completely halt everything and make you redo it.
Well, here's the thing. Steel blue what? Steel blue, and it doesn't say, but blue steel is a thing. So, sorry. Blue steel.
Steel blue is a color.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay.
The bridge was made of a color. Now, that's an interesting story.
Okay, look. The bridge was blue steel. What color is blue steel?
Steel blue.
Steel blue.
Yeah.
Shut up. Dude. The fun of English. Covered with rusty scabs that forded a deep and dark mountain pass full of old-growth spruce and hemlock. Running parallel to the steel bridge of much blueness was 100 feet away, there was another bridge, an old railway trestle that had been modified for auto traffic but later condemned.
I'm going to have to correct you there. It's actually a railway old.
It was a ramshackle structure that looked like it was always teetering on collapse. Its rotting wooden ribs barely holding together the rusted girders that spanned the gorge. What an opening!
That is
paragraph.
very, very strong, relatable imagery. Anyone who lives in fucking anywhere in America, there's you know, go on any road trip, you will encounter old ass railways that look exactly like that. That's really good.
Old
In any
ass
city.
railways.
Any country, go do a steel blue steel, rusted Chad Fuckwolford.
Oh, when I drove by the old bridge, I always wondered, how do you decide to condemn a bridge? Surely there are inspectors for these things, but they must only come once a year. Still, at some point, someone has to decide when a structure isn't fit anymore. The bridge was working one day, and then the next day someone decided it wasn't.
What a concept!
True.
Did it, and it's, well, we'll talk about that later.
When is a story good or not good? We'll tell you.
It was relegated to a ghostly shadow of its replacement, a reminder that everything decays, just like autumn, when things start to wilt and die. Damn!
See, I can very much, beyond everything we've already said about this being relatable, there is a bridge near where I live, where you look out over the water, over the river, and 100 feet away, there's an old bridge that's actually like an old-style drawbridge, which is the middle of the bridge rotates around.
Right.
And the bridge rotates out into the water. And they just keep it rotated out so nobody goes, walking across it and shit. So you can drive by and you can see this weird fucking bridge, perpendicular with the river as opposed to crossing it.
I live about 40 minutes drive away from the coast. And the coast in this portion of California it has tons and tons of old railroad lines that were, for whatever reason, abandoned for newer ones that are placed like further inland. But that's a perfectly valid question. Well, what was wrong with these? Couldn't they just update all of the existing infrastructure? Why make an entirely new route? It's a perfectly good question to ask.
Abandoned by DOT.
Abandoned by, oh shit, what's the
DOT?
Amtrak? Amtrak? Abandoned by Amtrak.
Yes. A Bamtrak. In Brampton, we've been abandoned by Bramtrak.
Bluestale Brambleblab.
It was autumn when I first saw the condemned bridge, my first autumn up north. October was a blaze of autumn glory. Okay, you've mentioned autumn 3 times. I'm out of the story.
Terrible, 0 out of 10.
Trees decked out in reds and oranges and steel blue like I'd never seen before. Then, as Halloween inched closer in autumn, doesn't say that, I started noticing that most of the broadleaf trees I passed were more naked than clothed. The leaves were all gone before the first snow, so for a few weeks the mountains and forests were silver with exposed bark and branches, almost purple in the sunset.
Lovely.
So both of these stories are using color and using nature and trying to set you in that scene. This one is more successful because it's actually weaving in elements of time passing. It's weaving the narrative into it, and it's less so about just setting a scene and more just like setting the world that this is taking place in. This is the world of this character and their daily commute.
So you would say that this is a good comparative 2 stories. Interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like you planned this.
It's almost like I plant it because there's trees. Anyway.
It was in that grace period that the windy interstitial between true false, and true winter that I saw the man with the sunken face.
Okay,
it's
guys.
Fake seasons. It's fake seasons. That's all they're giving you. There's no summer.
Wait a minute.
Sunken face.
Is the man with the sunken face Trump, or what are we applying here? Fake seasons.
Sure, whatever.
Fake seasons. Fake seasons. There's no seasons. By April, it'll be fine. I was driving home.
It's my turn.
God damn it. Okay, I think the reason for that was I was going to say, how do we feel about a man with a face appearing in the story?
Well, that's perfectly fine because people can have sunken faces.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't trigger any of your tall, faceless man worries.
Well, I'm sure that this is going to turn supernatural at some point, but it hasn't yet, so I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt that this is just a man with a sunken face.
Okay.
I'll say this. That phrase, it was in the grace period, the windy interstitial between true fall and true winter, that I first saw the man with the sunken face. That line break in between that, setting the scene of like the purple sunset, blah, 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 all that stuff, moving on to that, reminds me of one of my favorite moments in one of my favorite stories, Mr. Widemouth. And there's this moment where the narrator says, I don't remember how I met Mr. Widemouth. And when you read the words, you know exactly how the character is saying it. They're saying it like that.
Right.
I don't exactly remember. And it's like very dramatic. There's a lot of drama into the way that they've structured this. So this is just a masterclass so far. Let's hope it doesn't shit the bed.
It probably will, but I think at the very least, I'm still just going to enjoy these early paragraphs, you know? Like, it'll have to really fuck up for me to be like, this is tainted, because I am really liking this. I was driving home just as dusk had begun to fall, racing the dark just as I had every night since the days started getting shorter, knowing that one of these days I would arrive at my house after the sun sank below the mountains and would have to admit defeat to the winter blues. So this dude has seasonal depression, I'm guessing?
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of
he has
people do,
seasonal
so, yeah.
depression.
Now, if you got seasonal depression, you can keep it.
Yeah. Welcome to the winter of Biden. Get ready to get depressed, motherfuckers.
President Biden, please take the stand and give your State of the Union address. Hi, everybody. Just want to stop everything. Hi, it's me, former President Barack Obama. I'm also here.
That's why, quote unquote, Biden had all that plastic surgery. It was actually me. God damn it. I'd been taking walks on my lunch break to preempt the sun withdrawal, but I couldn't help feeling a bit of hopelessness every day as I watched the sun get a little fainter on my evening commute. It was my first winter away from my home in Arizona, well, that'll do it, and the force of the dark was so much greater than I'd expected. The cold wasn't too hard to take, as I'd experienced plenty of high desert winds, but the loss of daylight was really jarring. Every day at give, what's that supposed to be?
Every day I'd
No.
give.
I think "at give" is a remnant of an old sentence. It shouldn't be in there.
Every day I'd walk out into the parking lot and peer up at the sky. Maybe give
And see
at
that
give.
there's a pile of black rice.
Yes.
That's a deep pool no one's going to
It
get.
got
It's
bigger.
Yeah,
every
no
day.
one's going to read that story because it's not on the wiki anymore.
God damn it. It's deleted from No Sleep as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Oh, they deleted that in like 24 hours.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that, but then you said the wiki, and I was like, well, am I misremembering?
Yeah.
Every day at give, I think that might be something we don't understand as a turn of phrase, maybe.
You know
Checking-
what?
Oh.
Noon. Every day at noon. GIVE is very close to NOON on the keyboard. Every day at noon, I'd walk on the parking lot. I think so.
Checking my watch over and over again to make sure I wasn't going insane.
Okay, I think, yeah, seasonal depression. And mixed with what sounds like homesickness, which is, again, very grounded, relatable topics. I quite like this.
I knew all hope was lost the day I had turned on my headlights when I went over the unlit bridge the first day I saw the man. I had been warned to keep an eye out for deer, and even more for moose. The moose, you moose.
Even more for moose, because there was an MO in moose and an MO in more. You see how...
Oh,
what?
my God.
Doesn't make any sense.
You don't want to hit a moose from any angle, advised my townie coworker Ned. They've got spindly little legs and a giant body. Knock them out at the knees and they'll go right through the windshield. You'll have half a ton of meat and antlers on your hands.
So you'll get half a ton of meat out of the deal, but you'll grow antlers on your hands as like a spiritual repercussion.
You just become Moose Wolverine.
Moose Wolverine.
And antlers. Hantlers.
Antlers.
Somebody out there draw a creepypasta character that has antlers on their hands.
Make that your new icon pasta.
My Wendigo is different. All right, so this is me, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. I always kept a lookout for animals, but I never expected to see a person on these country roads. We're getting back to the sunken man face. Still, there he was, a thin figure stooped over like he was looking for something on the ground, until he heard my car coming across the bridge. He was standing at the far end, off to the side where the bridge met the road. Just far enough that I wasn't in danger of hitting him, but just close enough that I got a good look at his face in my headlights when he turned at the sound of my car.
I only saw that face for a split second, but it burned into my memory for as long as I will draw breath. Not a fan of that line, to be honest.
Nah.
Yeah.
It's not that it's bad, it's just the caliber below what we've come to expect from this story.
Well, it wasn't needed either.
No.
Hopefully this doesn't turn out like a lot of stories where it has the strong start and then the author kind of gets tired as they go.
Is it even like the authors get tired? I swear that No Sleep just breeds this formula of, I made this story and I have all this cool imagery and this cool setup, but there's not enough paranormal bullshit in here. So, okay, throw in a Wendigo here and a fucking vampire there and this sense. Like, they have to punctuate it with just such gratuitous horror that it ruins the story.
SEO optimized monsters fighting each other.
Seriously, yeah.
He was a slim man with a delicate, almost childlike skull and icy blue eyes. Almost steel blue, the kind of steel blue you'd see on blue steel.
He had blue ice eyes.
And he looked at me with steel blue, like from that one movie, Zoolander, I think.
Yeah.
But the
Blue
thing
Lander?
that Blue Lander, Blue Amber.
Yes.
Now we're getting weird.
Blamber.
Blamber. Everything comes back to Brampton.
Bramble. But the thing that stuck with me the longest, stuck with me the longest. The thing that you couldn't help but unsee was the way that his face there wasn't a face. The way that his face fell into itself around the chin and jaw. He looked like a statue that someone had gouged half of the face off of. But instead of cracked, so this isn't like Slender Man where he doesn't have a face. He's got part of a face.
Half face. Yeah.
Look, I have a very clear image in my head of a person that does have this kind of weird sunken feature. It's real. I cannot remember what it's from, but this is an actual medical condition that can happen to people. So this is, even if this is intentionally supernatural, this can happen. So it's not like, oh god, it's a weird demon creature.
Gotta say, Abysmii, not a fan of you comparing the disabled to stories monsters, but okay.
Okay, David Lynch. No, but I'm still trying to figure this out, so I'm going to reread this. It looked like a statue that someone had gorged half of the face off of, but instead of cracked stone, the cavity was made of skin turned hard from scar tissue and stitches. Okay, I can picture this now.
Okay, so if it's just somebody with a massive wound to their lower face that has been, since healed and surgically tampered with.
He looked like those people with mouth cancer from chewing tobacco who they show in your health class to scare you.
That fucking might be it, actually.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But he had a bottom lip. But if he had a bottom lip at all, it was all shriveled. It was a shriveled flap tucked beneath his overbite, barely covering a single yellow tooth.
Yeah, I think this is an image from the American Lung Association that I'm thinking about. That would make sense.
New Blue Steel cigarettes.
Dentine Ice tobacco.
Dentine Ice tobacco, yeah. Tobacco-flavored chewing gum.
Dentine Ice?
Remember that? My first thought after the shock wore off as I drove on through the night was that there was no way that man could eat anything but milkshakes. I found myself wondering if I should turn back, since I didn't stick around long enough to see if he was in need of help. A man like that seems beyond help, but maybe he needed a ride. It was getting cold, but he was wearing a winter coat, and more than that, he really didn't seem to be in a hurry to get anywhere. There was no entreaty behind that face, no want for anything. He felt like a sentinel, a toll booth operator, but one who didn't take any money, or didn't take money. Looking into that face was toll enough. Ouch!
This man is rude.
Yeah, a little insensitive, but okay.
I do like in this, I'm assuming it's intentional. I'm giving the author the credit of it being intentional. I do like the idea of maybe I should have helped that man, but he was dressed for the weather. But really, maybe I should have. He didn't look like he wanted to ride. It's like that.
He's
soothing your
bullshitting
own.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
soothing
there's
your own
nothing
nerves.
wrong with having a narrator who is not a perfect person.
Oh, of course.
So
No, it means the author believes everything that the narrator says.
that is a legit thing that people like don't think about, or like, oh, your narrator did a bad thing. That's not believable, or it's just stupid bullshit. But yeah.
I cracked open a lukewarm beer the second I got home and sat alone in my locked house with the TV on too loud. The local news going on about the winter storm due to start the next morning. I wondered if the man with the sunken face had somewhere warm to sleep that night, but not in a charitable way. I wondered because I was scared he'd decide to sleep at my place. Maybe in the basement by the boiler, waiting like Freddy Krueger to kill me in my dreams. Hey, Freddy Krueger. I even checked down there before I went to bed, but it was as empty as the rest of the house. Okay, so seasonal... What is it called? Seasonal affective
Seasonal
disorder?
depression.
Oh.
Or seasonal mood.
Seasonal mood, bad
Seasonal
moods.
mood swings.
Seasonal...
Your moods swing with the season. When it's winter, you're depressed. When it's summer, you're very angry.
Oh, okay. Fucking sun's trying to kill me.
I stood up at summer.
Get down! Yelling at the sun.
Get the fuck down, son.
But, I would assume...
You're just affected by whether the sun or the moon is out.
God damn it. I'm sad that the moon is up there. Anyway, I'll shut up now.
No, you get a British accent when you talk very posh when the moon's out.
Oh, boy. Oh, sorry, the moon is out. Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
Oh, she looks to be a full moon, she does. Yeah.
No, you'd be like in Italian if the moon was out. If it's foggy and you can't see shit and the weather's bad, then you'd be
when the moon hits the eye like a big Italian pie. I'm Italian.
That's Italy.
You're aware Italian? Is that...
Bertalia.
Where Italian?
Where Italian? But you're just a werewolf. You just get hairy like an Italian.
God
No,
damn it,
not
yeah,
even that. You just
it
like
works.
hop on a Vespa and you start like drinking wine and shit.
You, instead of hearing the wolf howling in the night, people in the town just hear, "Hey!
Hey!
Hey!"
You're just A-ing at the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey! It's just stupid. Stupid, guys.
I was bitten by a were-Italian. Are you sure it wasn't a regular Italian?
There is so much story left.
Yeah.
I know.
I spent the better part of my weekend shoveling the driveway. I made a note to get the name of the plowman in town.
Mr. Plow.
Was it Mr. Plow?
Where do you have to go plow? I have to go help the man with the
name
sunken
is
face.
Mr. Plow. And then Monday rolled around.
Oh my god,
I
the
asked
overbite.
Ned.
No, no.
Ned
Yes,
if
the
he knew
overbite, too.
Oh, no.
Ned, yeah.
I asked Ned if he knew someone with a plow.
I
He
sure
gave
diddly
me-
do.
He gave me the name of his cousin Dougie.
Oh.
I then asked him if he knew a man with a missing jaw. I had almost not mentioned it out of fear that he would think I was crazy or worse, that he would get all pale and tell me that there had been a man with no jaw around these parts. He died 20 years ago. I don't strictly believe in ghosts, but at that point I was ready to. Otherwise, I couldn't account for how uneasy that old man made me feel. Ned didn't go pale or look at me weird, just grinned.
You've seen Russ out on the bridge, haven't you? I guess so, I said. What's his story? Ned leaned in like he was about to tell me something delightfully sordid, but then straightened up all at once as our colleague Meredith entered the room. We exchanged pleasantries about our weekends, and then Meredith sat down at her desk. I turned back to Ned, but he was avoiding my gaze, hunkered over an aerial photograph of a property we were surveying. I decided not to press it. Maybe Russ was a relative of Meredith's, I thought.
So we're having a crossover of Simpsons and The Office.
Fucking women coming in and not hearing her terrible stories.
Yeah.
The women's locker room, the boys' locker room, the boys just gathered around telling scary stories.
Oh, jeez. I turned out to be right, and once I heard the whole story, I understood why Ned had clammed up. it wasn't the kind of thing you would want known about your family. Oh, so I turned out to be right. It was related to Meredith. Okay.
Okay.
The story came out one Friday night. When Ned had convinced me to join him and some of the boys from the survey crew for happy hour.
The boys.
Me and the boys out at 3 a.m. looking for Jaws. Telling me that no one even cared if you drove drunk out here. And besides, my house was only a few miles away. Damn. That's fucking true. I agreed to one beer. That's the thing, when you live out in backwoods areas, you look around and you're like, there's no cops around here. You can fucking do whatever you want. Yeah. I agreed to one beer, but soon enough we were 4 deep in the local tavern, sitting cozy by a wood-burning fireplace, watching the lottery on TV. Eventually, Ned turned to me and said, "I never told you the whole story about Russ."
You didn't?
I think Abysmii's waiting for you to take more lines.
No, I'm waiting for you to do the Ned voice.
Oh. Well, if you were going to live here, you ought to know. Reason I ding-dong-diddly didn't say anything before is he's a cousin of Meredith's, and she's bitched at people. Whoa, Ned. She's bitched people. She's biddly-bing-bong bitched people out before for mentioning him. She's from Bribbly-Bing-Bam-Brampton.
This is what happens after Ned Flanders says, "Oh, screw it, I'll have a white wine spritzer." Mm-hmm. Let's loose.
That's right.
I began to wonder if I wanted to know, but it seemed too late now. So, Russ is a local boy, grew up here, probably my dad's age. His dad was the town supervisor way back when, and this is before they built us the new bridge. They were driving across that old one, even though everyone knew it wasn't too safe. Rail trestle bridges aren't really made for cars, but how else are you going to get into town if you live on the other side of the gorge? It's a 3-hour drive to get around the other way, and you have to go into 2 other counties.
A 3-hour drive.
A 3-hour drive?
The winter started getting rough. The tiny car was tossed.
But every time people brought it up at town meetings, Russ's father always says, "We've got no money for a new bridge." Relatable in little town politics. This is shit that happens every day, though.
Relatable. I also don't have money for a new bridge.
My small town of Silicon Valley that has fucking 5 million people piled into it. Yeah, we can't afford a new bridge.
So one day, I'm not going to do the voice. So one day, Russ and his mother are driving across the bridge, and a storm has just hit, so it's slippery. Who knows what causes this sort of thing? Maybe they had a bowling ball in the back seat that added to the weight. But sure enough, halfway across, the bottom falls right out from under the car, pitches forward, and Russ gets thrown through the windshield. He was just a skinny little kid, but his mom got pushed back by the airbag, and before she could get out, the car plummets right into the drink. Russ, meanwhile, landed straight on his jaw. Freak accident, crushed it to pieces.
So did his airbag not deploy? Was he in the back seat?
Yeah, I guess he didn't either. It used to be there was only driver's side airbags, so...
True, we don't know when this is taking place.
Yeah.
Maybe... Well, shit, I said.
Well, shit is what DP said.
Well, shit.
Well, shit.
That's pretty much the reaction you have to have.
Well, Shampton.
They'll find him soon. They'll find him soon enough. The doctors fix him up and as well as they can, I guess. But you see in his face yourself. Now coming back from that, something like that. Not really. Maybe now they could fix you up a fake jaw, but back then it must have been in the 50s, early 60s. Now we have a time frame. So yeah, that's before the auto manufacturers were forced into those kinds of things by big government.
Big government.
He's gotta eat through a straw the rest of his life. He can't talk, plus he's got an awful concussion from the impact. And after that, he could never really do much in school.
So this spooky character is somebody that our narrator should not have been spooked by.
He's real. He's not a figment. He's not a cryptid.
And he's somebody who has a tough life and doesn't need somebody riding by and going, "Ah!"
But that's what's great. We were talking about it. Like, I think that we've all been in that situation where, for whatever reason, someone disgusts us or revolts us, and we feel really bad about, like, God, I wish I didn't feel that way about you. That just makes me a horrible person.
And granted, we still have a good portion of the story to go, but so far the story isn't the weird deformed mutant is killing people. It's this narrator feels repulsed by it and feels bad, and we're meant to feel sad and kind of empathetic towards the situation, which is really good.
I'll take the next line. The sunken face man jumped out of a closet and ripped me to shreds. I screamed.
Ah, damn it. Well, of course, his dad is grieving, whole usual thing, but here's where it gets bad. Because a year or so later, it comes out that he was embezzling town funds. Ooh, spicy. The same funds that should have gone to build a new bridge 5 years ago. Oh, yes.
Ouch.
Hell yes.
So it was his fault the bridge collapsed.
Uh-huh.
Well,
diddly well.
who's
Diddly well, he didn't mean for it to collapse, but he knew that it wasn't safe. Everyone did.
And he was the only one who could have fixed it, but he didn't.
Yep. Just kept skimming off the town budget and telling everyone there wasn't enough money for the bridge. I'm sure he realized what he'd done after the fact, because before they can arrest him...
Holy shit, this is so refreshing.
You're about to tell me he jumped off the bridge and killed himself?
Well, strictly speaking, he jumped through the bridge, right down the same hole his wife fell into. God damn. All right.
Get back in that fucking hole.
I'm coming for you, Barbara!
Get down! Jesus Christ. Mark, I can't live without you. God damn it.
Homer's way too lazy to kill himself, let's be honest.
Oh. Yes! Don't.
By then, the bar had gone quiet, not just because of our story, just from the hour. It was late, and we were two of the only about 10 people in the joint. I'm dyslexic, and that was poorly written. The combination.
My name is Dyslexic, and I'm Brandon.
I'm dyslexic,
I've come here.
And welcome to Dyslexics.
Take it one more time.
It was late, and we were two of the only about 10 people in the joint.
Close enough. It's good.
Fuck it.
What?
You inserted a "the" that does not exist in the sentence.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Brandon is becoming an icon pasta. He's becoming the man.
Two of only about 10. Okay, I see the mistake I was making.
It's fine. Who cares?
It's all in good humor. That's it.
We could just put it off on the author and say he edited it later.
Yeah,
yeah, totally.
We have the power. I demand you edit a grammatical mistake into this story. We're not going to delete stories. But that doesn't mean we won't fuck with them.
New rule.
Must be dyslexic, sensitive, or whatever it is.
Dyslexic sensitive?
God damn it! Whatever the fuck. I don't know. I've been drinking.
That sounds like a way to open a lock. It's dyslexic sensitive. You just read a line from it, and if you get it wrong, it opens.
I went to the bathroom for a pee, but couldn't shake my pee. Shake the chill that I had gotten from Ned's story. Somehow it changed what I had seen. Russ standing there by the old bridge. You'd think that something like that would have been melancholy or tragic, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he was guarding something or worse, waiting for something.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum,
The
bum.
day, if I can't have a jaw, no one will have a jaw.
Wow.
I'll take everyone's jaws. They're just driving too fast in their cars and I can't get to them.
Hey, got time to jaw a minute? Anyway.
After that, I stopped asking questions about the odd things I saw in town. I began to wonder if every boarded-up storefront was hiding some grim tale of corruption or betrayal. I heard that the gas station where I got my morning Danish was a SCP that blows up if you don't... It was a money laundering operation for heroin dealers, and that the highway supervisor was a known philanderer.
Ooh.
But these are the kinds of sordid dealings that you'll find anywhere in small-town America.
Yup.
This is the future the liberals want. What I was scared of was finding more Russes, more haunted souls clinging to the skin of this backwoods village. This author has a way with words that I appreciate.
I was worried that the Russes would meddle in the 2020 election.
I almost said Ruskies, but I decided not to.
It turned out Russ himself was enough to keep my nightmares busy. I assumed he still lived with Meredith or another relative, but I never saw him in town. I only ever saw him standing near the railing by the entrance of the bridge, or sometimes walking down the side of the road, usually in the ditch, headed towards the bridge. So he likes the bridge, or, whatever. I suspected we were neighbors because he was always coming from my side of town, but I never asked anyone where he lived because I knew it would only feed into my irrational fear of the man. And I did fear him, and his vulture eye, no matter what I told myself about how prejudicial it was.
I'm glad you brought that up, because this does feel like The Telltale Heart, and it also kind of feels like a Stephen King novel if Stephen King was a decent writer.
It smells a little poey.
It's just, this is small town, probably northeastern-ish area. Outsider comes in, is unsettled by small town America. There's some good themes here.
I can very vividly envision parts of West Virginia in this story.
Yeah.
West Virginia.
West Virginia, man with no jaw. I knew I was just subscribing to some narrative.
On YouTube. Subscribe to our narratives on YouTube.
That I had in my head from a million cheap horror movies. The deformed hill people out for blood. The tragically Maine simpleton protecting his territory.
Oh no.
Enough. I'm liberal enough, very progressive, outspoken feminist.
Listen, let me just virtue signal for a minute here. Anyway, back to the Jawless freak I hated. Boy, isn't that true?
It's okay.
He was
when
white.
I do it.
He had his privilege.
That's
whatever.
true.
White privilege monster, deformity man. Okay, listen, I need you to check all of your privileges at the door.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, there's other poor people of color who would rather be stalking this railway ditch. You can please move on.
Jesus Christ.
That's so fucked.
Oh, man.
Really? It's 2020 and we can't have any black female monsters out here?
Don't talk about Oprah that way.
Oof. Woof.
I would like Oprah a lot more if she didn't have a fucking jaw. So,
Jesus Christ. Look forward to our Jawless Oprah sketch at the end of the fucking episode.
No, we're not doing that.
And you're gonna
No, we're not doing that.
and your car goes over the bridge, and your car goes over the bridge.
Yes.
There you go. That's your Jawless Oprah sketch.
God,
That's all you get.
Whew.
I'm liberal enough to know that you shouldn't assume people's gender. That people are evil just because they're disabled. That's political correctness.
that's not liberal. That's just decent human being.
Well, in today's America, decent human being and liberal, pretty much synonymous. I mean, come on.
Come on.
Listen, I know that you shouldn't just assume people are evil because they're a different skin color than you. That's political correctness 101.
Whew.
Even still, I'm going to pretend that his face didn't...
Nope.
I'm not going to pretend that his face didn't haunt me. That the missing jaw and the story of how it got that way didn't stir both pity and disgust in the deepest part of my chest.
So your stomach?
On a more serious note, I don't know if that sentence should just be excised or if it's okay as is. I mean, we took the piss, but
it's a little self-aware.
Yeah, it kind of does take me out of things, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, because like other parts of it were very subtly being like, yeah, this disgusted me and I felt bad about it, and they're kind of like playing into that.
You have a point.
And this one, they're actually like acknowledging, here's what the trope is. It's like, well, don't acknowledge the trope. Don't acknowledge the trope. Just you're doing a good job of not acknowledging the trope. And here it does kind of feel like they're saying that because someone's going to misinterpret it,
Right.
and it's just like, no,
Right.
just let it be what it is. And stupid people won't get it, and smart people will. It's fine.
I think you said it perfectly. I agree.
I know
the,
I did.
The stupid people, though, will send you death threats, so...
God. But there was something more to it, to the way he lurked. It was the same thing that scared me about the bridge itself. Decommissioned, but not destroyed. Useless, but still standing. I like
Wow.
that.
That's fucked
Damn,
up. I
that's
love it.
good.
Hey, author, you came back around. You sort of took
Fucking
your little
record timing.
took your little dose of 5-hour energy at this point. You started coming back around
Kicked
to the
yourself
fucking
in the ass.
to the fucking
Condemned.
awesome sentences.
Condemned just like Russ had been condemned to bear the sins of his father forever. Even that seemed like an inappropriate narrative to put on this poor man, I told myself. But again, that was the rational part of my brain talking. My fear came from a far different place than the part of my brain that followed social rules. It flowed straight from the core, from the buried place where dreams and nightmares are born.
The fear
Okay.
that every weird person you meet wants to touch your penis. I started having dreams about Russ and the bridge. I would always fall asleep to find myself hanging by my teeth from a stray iron girder sticking out of the bridge. There's our
I
title.
totally forgot the title of this fucking story.
Yeah.
That's as good. It's buried really deep in here.
The rest of my body dangling over the open gorge below. Always a man walked across the bridge. A man who I knew was Russ, except he didn't look anything like him. He always asked me something. I never really remembered what, but I couldn't respond because I was holding on by my teeth. Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
it's like, maybe this is just the scene from A Beautiful Life, but you're hanging from your teeth from the bridge. Don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't jump. I'm trying to... Every time you save a life, an angel gets its jaw back.
Yes. Logic told me that my hands could reach the girder, but my arms were dead and limp. That's dream logic for you.
Girder? I barely know her.
I never fell and was never saved. Just woke up with a jaw ache that told me I'd been grinding my teeth. Okay.
Oh, thank God that was just, I ground my teeth in my sleep and not, there was a demon holding my jaw open.
I ground my teeth and angry.
There was a demon skull fucking me while I was asleep. Soon enough, like my scalp was sore from like pulling my hair. Soon enough, I realized that the dream had come from something I had learned in a class on Eastern spirituality. It was a Zen koan, a poem used to confuse the rational mind. There is a man hanging from a branch by his teeth. His hand grasp at nothing. His feet touch nothing.
Sorry, what's the Western equivalent of a koan, a poem used to confuse the rational mind? Well, it's probably an icon pasta.
What's the Western equivalent of a poem designed to confuse the rational mind? Any poem. That's what poems do.
Poems are bullshit. 2020.
Listen, all I'm saying is that if you write poetry, you're dumb and you're wasting your time. Like,
look, I am pro poem, so because poems posers.
Oh,
stop quoting fucking epic rap battles of history.
Hey.
A monk comes up to the tree and asks the question. If he answers, he will fall to his death. If he does not, the monk will not know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think the point is that if we are all gripping the branch with our teeth, clinging to life at all costs, while trying to ignore the facts that sooner or later our jaw will tire and we will inevitably fall.
That just reminds me of a Scandinavian myth of, oh God, I think it's Balder is hanging by a spear on the roots of Tedrasil, and if he let go, he falls, and he's waiting for his brother Thor to rescue him. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
comparative religious studies. Don't pay attention to me.
It reminds me of Jesus hanging on the cross, waiting for you to accept him into your life, Abysmii.
I met Jesus once. He was all right.
Space Jesus.
Space Jesus. He came from space. That's what you idiots don't realize.
Oh.
Whatever it meant, I couldn't get the dream out of my head. It was especially strong whenever I drove past the bridge, even if Russ wasn't there that day. I'd seen him standing there, kicking at gravel and looking over the edge, and my jaw would pulse with pain. The dream would come on at night, and I'd wake up sweating, clenching my teeth so hard I would panic, and I think I'd contracted tetanus or something. But it was only ever in my head, and soon enough, my jaw would creak back open. It was like that through the winter, and eventually got so bad I considered moving so I wouldn't have to cross the bridge. How about you go to the fucking doctor? Soon, even the 3-hour detour to avoid the bridge didn't seem like a 3-hour detour to avoid the bridge didn't seem like such a crazy idea. I began to look forward to the weekend for a whole new reason, not just the time off, but the chance to spend 2 days without crossing the bridge, without being chilled by the shadow of the old trestles across the way, without the haunting aching in my jaw, and the little voice that got louder every day that urged me to let go, to give away. So far, this still isn't really supernatural. You could attribute that, but it really just is this dude's obsession that's affecting him psychosomatically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. I opened a Bones of the Earth bottle of bourbon and... Oh, fuck! Sooner or later, everything wears out. The bridge would tell me. Everything is condemned. The greater violence comes in pretending things are stable when they aren't. And if I needed confirmation of that principle, there was Russ walking hunchbacked down the road or leaning on a bridge railing, ready to intercept any passerby who might be tempted to cross the old bridge. Give up now, the bridge told me daily, its grating music thrumming through my jaw. Better to give up now than let someone down along the way.
I soon became like Russ in my dreams, missing the bottom of my jaw and hanging on the bridge by the precarious ledge of my upper teeth. The merge of
He's becoming a Simpson.
the cold rust digging into my palate as I flailed against the wind. I never fell, but soon enough I began waking up wishing I had. I didn't die in my dreams, and now I wish I had, because now I live my life, and my life is not very meaningful. The dreams stalked me that winter. Dreams of the bridge and what would happen if I ever came near it. I came down with a flu at the end of February, and the bridge ran wild through my undistracted mind, no matter how much NyQuil and chamomile tea I tried to quell it with. See, that's your issue, is you're trying NyQuil and chamomile tea. You need to take the Tussin challenge. Listen, just down an entire bottle of Robitussin.
That's right.
And you will have wild nightmares.
You'll have no trouble sleeping, and probably trouble waking up.
Yeah.
You'll have trouble staying awake. I'd wake up thinking I'd seen Russ staring in the window, and would lie there under 3 blankets shivering, too weak to get up and too scared to go back to sleep.
The last night before my fever broke, I had a different dream. I wasn't hanging from the bridge anymore, but standing right where Russ stood every day, looking over from the newer bridge. Each trestle of the old bridge had been set ablaze, the flames from the wood licking at the rusted metal skeleton. Soon the fire was so great it lit up the entire gorge, though I still couldn't see down to the river bottom. The snow near the trestles melted and sizzled, and occasionally parts of the bridge would fall off and vanish into the open darkness below. I turned to my right and saw a figure I knew to be Russ, though again, it wasn't quite him. The figure was a black-robed judge, a face hidden behind a cowl.
Photo-negative Russ.
Photo-negative Russ, no!
He has an overbite and too many jaws.
Hey, want to see my jaw come off? Fuck.
The figure was a black-robed judge, face hidden behind a cowl, his hands wrapped in bandages, and a single word in his glare: condemned.
Bum, bum, bum.
He just had condemned written on his forehead like the Joker.
God damn it. I'm not going to hurt you. No, wait, I'm not going to kill you. Just going to hurt you a lot. Was that the line? I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm just going to push you off the bridge. Once I woke up and washed the sweat of my nightmares off in the shower, I sat in the kitchen watching the winter light dance in the window. I stayed there, drinking coffee and thinking of nothing until long after the sun had set. And then I rose without meaning to, put on my long underwear and winter boots, and started walking out onto the road towards the bridge. I didn't realize until I rounded the bend toward the road leading over the gorge that I had picked up my almost full gas can from the garage. Oh. It didn't matter because my body moved automatically, out of reflex, every muscle following some power that had harnessed me at a level deeper than my thinking mind. It's acting out his dream after mentally breaking from all this turmoil in his head.
Yeah.
Winter depression.
Yeah. I walked precariously out onto the ancient bridge, somehow knowing exactly where to step so I wouldn't fall or slip on the thin layer of ice that coated it in patches, avoiding each section of rotting wood like it was tracing the path of a secret shortcut through a maze of degradation. There was no sound but the trickle of a half-frozen
half-dozen rivers.
Half-dozen
Man.
It was cascading. It was very loud. Half-frozen river far below, and the rustling of the wind in the sleeping trees, and my footsteps, mechanical and careful, and the splash of gas as I slung the can behind me on the walk across the bridge, coating the rail ties and the particle board patch that had been stretched over the hole where Russ's parents had fallen into their nothingness below.
Oh, that's just insult to injury. Here's a fucking particle board over where tragedy happened. Oh, man.
Here's a particle board with a cross drawn on it in black magic marker.
In memoriam.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the footsteps behind mine, the ones that aped mine exactly like they were controlling them. Not until I spun around to see Russ standing there, unmoved and unmoving, right on the patch where the hole had once been. I saw him there, but somehow didn't register that he was a person, much less a person I knew, until I had already pulled the matchbook from my pocket, struck a single match and tossed it into the nearest puddle of gas. Damn.
Standing right over the hole in the fucking bridge.
Yeah. So madness has taken over.
Standing on the whole, glory blazing around me.
The glory hole, if you will, yes.
Saluting America. It took a good 3 minutes for the whole bridge to catch. Russ would have had time to escape if he wanted, but he just kept standing there. By the time the flames had started eating away at the rail ties and parts of the bridge began falling off, I realized that he wasn't paralyzed by fear. He was waiting patiently.
Somehow, that realization broke whatever spell I was under, and I found myself running towards Russ, onto the flaming ties and across the bridge to where he stood in the middle. I stopped short right in front of him. I stopped short right in front of the glowing hole, the growing hole, the glory hole. The growing hole where several rotted ties had already fallen in. I reached out a hand to him, barely noticing that I was standing directly in a puddle of fire. I could smell my own boots melting, the acrid rubber lending a chemical overtone to the wood fire. By the light of the fire, I could see Russ's face, and it was then that I knew he would not accept my help. There were no tears, not even a sense of ennui in those piercing eyes. He was expressionless, unbothered, like a monk in meditation. Coming back to the monk. Looking at Russ in that moment, I was the closest I have ever come to understanding what the man in the Cohen's face must look like right after he lets go of the branch and begins to plummet.
I don't necessarily understand the purpose of mentioning the Cohens, but I really do like everything else that's going on.
I think it whether it works or not, I think it sort of is like an attempt to explain what's going on in the story without directly explaining it and saying that is what's going on. It's sort of like he's sort of like the monk in this, you know what I mean?
At a surface level, I think it's the narrator kind of accepting the fact that he can't fully explain what's happening, and just like the monk in the koan realizing that you can't answer the riddle, you're supposed to learn things through the riddle. This is also what the narrator's doing. He's kind of letting go of a lot of, why do I hate Russ so much when I pity him? What does this all mean? Oh, if Russ doesn't even fucking care, I probably shouldn't either. That's what I think it's trying to achieve.
I'm just a little conflicted on it. There are parts of this story that I'm conflicted on, but I gotta say, I really am enthralled by the overall narrative of it. And the writing style is also excellent throughout most of it.
This is what you can expect on r/stay awake on Reddit.
Subscribe
now.
To fearredditfiction.com. As soon as I realized I would have to run back if I wanted to live, I heard the particle board give way as I escaped the burning bridge. And Russ was gone when I turned back. The hole loomed black
DP, stop it.
in the center of the flaming husk. Seeing that hole in the void beyond it broke whatever enchantment. I was cognitized. Whatever enchantment remained from my dreams, where before I had been drifting through the world, a numb follower of instinct. Suddenly I was back in my body, fully in control of myself. Suddenly I could feel everything. I'm on fire. I looked down to see my left arm was engulfed in flames, the skin peeling back, and the fingers swelling and sizzling like sausages.
Damn.
Okay.
So when we say he's coming back to reality, whoops, there goes gravity. When we say that he's realizing what's going on and coming back to his senses, we mean that literally, because he actually is on fire.
He did step into the puddle of fire, so yeah.
I like the idea that this is now just a tag team of supervillains, the Jawless Wonder and Sausage Fingers.
God damn it.
This is like that episode of Venture Brothers with the references to the Fantastic Four. Like the flaming torch is not a guy who can just like turn fire on and off. It's like a guy who, if he's ever exposed to oxygen, he just lights on fire and screams in pain. You son of a bitch! Ah! Then I realized the flames had spread up to my neck, to my face, the stink of burning hair mixing with the meaty smell of my flesh cooking straight off my bones. It hurt so bad that it didn't feel like fire, but something harsher, more elemental. It felt like the plate glass window of reality had broken and I was cutting myself on the jagged edges. No matter how much I rolled around in the snow, it seemed like the fire kept lighting itself again, finding new unburned crevices to scorch. My last thought was that the fire was not burning me. It was flaying me alive and leaving my half-cooked flesh open to the winter wind.
Anyway, it took me a long time to type this story. I had to do it one-handed.
So, has anybody else experienced this? Let me know in the comments.
I need some help, Reddit. Let me know.
I'm typing this now. I found a laptop on a tree stump, and I'm typing this now as I sit here waiting for the ambulance.
Typing it with my tongue.
Has anyone else experienced wanting to eat your own sausage fingers?
Damn it. I was still alive when they found me the next morning. I lost most of my face in the flames. Had to have reconstructive surgery just to be able to breathe right again. My left hand curled into a useless claw, the fingers fused together, and neither of my knees has worked right since. I started collecting a measly disability check from the government, and I spend a lot of time by the bridge now, in Russ's old spot.
Okay.
I have become the disabled man.
I am become Russ, destroyer of bridge.
Yes.
I hate bridge. Son of a bitch and bridge. Fucking flammable ass, flammable bitch bridge. Now I am the one that newcomers gawk at when they drive across the bridge. Now I am the one who stares out at the rotting skeleton of the old trestle bridge. I think about jumping off, letting go like Russ did. But I know that I can't quite yet. There must always be a condemned man standing sentry over the gorge, watching the new bridge every day to check for faults. Sooner or later, this bridge will be fit for condemnation, and if it doesn't get repaired, then soon enough there will be a new guardian of the gorge, a cautionary tale for those that dare to think they have time to waste.
So all that time, Russ was supposedly, in the narrator's mind, which the narrator may just be fucking crazy, but supposedly Russ was standing out there all the time because he was watching the new bridge, waiting for it to collapse or have issues.
So for now, I walk along the road and stand by the bridge just to make sure everyone knows there's danger lurking, even in the most normal of places. I'm sure they gawk at my gnarled face, and I'm sure there are stories being told of how I got this way in dive bars and tailgates across these northern woodlands. I am the condemned man of the bridge.
Yeah. The only road I ever know.
The only bridge I ever burned. I am the condemned man of the bridge. I stand where no one else will. I wait patiently in every season for a sign that it's time to let go.
I stand alone.
On the bridge.
Let it go. Let it go.
Godsmack meets Elsa. Oh,
Smack Elsa.
All right.
That'd be good.
You know what? This feels very urban mythish.
Mm-hmm.
It's the man by the bridge it always is someone, but it's never the same person year to year. This was very, very strong.
Yeah.
This, I think it checks certain boxes that are like cliches for like a creepypasta-ish, horror
Sure.
story-ish
Yeah.
kind of thing. It checks the cliche boxes, but it does so in a comfortable bed of other content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not fucking annoyed when you're like, there always has to be a guy at the bridge. Oh, you took his place. Oh, it's one of those curses like you see in a bunch of stories. It's not like that. 'Cause
Well,
you're
yeah.
like, you got us there in the right way. So
Exactly. It's about this curse. It's a very old trope, but the writing and the characterization are enchanting enough that you don't mind.
right.
So yeah, I think that it's very successful, and that was a fun adventure to r/stay awake.
Agreed.
And if you have an original horror story that you want to post, I would suggest posting it here.
Yeah, because on Stay Awake, the story has a comment, and how many upvotes?
8.
It's got 10 upvotes right now if you reload. Probably two of
Oh.
us. But 10 upvotes, and it's got a comment, some interaction on Stay Awake, and on No Sleep, it has 2 upvotes and no comments.
God, so it is on No Sleep.
Which it's doing pretty well on No Sleep, considering that it hasn't been deleted for not
It's
being
still
horror.
there.
You know what? It's doing good on No Sleep by having positive comments because all of the authors are downvoting each other to get to the top.
Yeah.
Fucking
That's
damn it.
must be fun, right? Posting on No Sleep.
Listen, it's about community.
It's about immersion.
No Sleep moderators ripping out the jaw of their users. It's like, yeah, speak.
This has been the Fear Fiction Podcast. Your hosts are Abysmii, Dead Palette, and Slimebeast. Music by Abysmii. Art by C.F. Comer. Voiceover by Atticus Jackson. Edited by Elias the Intern. Subscribe to Fearfic on YouTube to stay up to date on new episodes.
In any city, in any country, go to any garage sale or blockbuster you can get yourself to. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of lost media. A cloaked figure will then guide you to a single door with no alternative paths, leading to a long staircase that goes down further than you could have imagined. As you descend each step, you'll feel the sensation that you're entering into a poorly made walking simulator. At the base of the stairs, you'll find a door with a rectangular space for a key. You'll hear the sounds of distorted laughter overtake the cramped area. And then you must yell, "Do it," as loud as possible. The cloaked figure will then pull out a shotgun and blow their brains out. You must then search Squidward's skull matter for a copy of Pokemon Strangled Red and place it into the door to unlock it. As the door slowly creaks open, a wave of bright, fuzzy light will then flood the dark staircase, temporarily blinding you. But when your vision adjusts, your perception will be altered in a beyond frustrating way. Your vision will be shrunk to a slightly off-center 4x3. Each particle of light will be the size of a grain of rice, and everything will be in a phosphorescent 144p. It will be as though your head is now a cathode ray tube television from the late 1980s. The room itself will be a Funko-Land video game store without a roof. In the sky, the moon from Majora's Mask will be staring down on you intently at your transactions in the storefront. The TV will be playing episodes of a cartoon that you know very well, but the episodes themselves will be nothing that you can recall. And once they're over, you'll doubt that you even saw what you just did, until ultimately it slips from your mind entirely. You must now stand behind the desk as customers come in. They'll ask you for help finding games that might not have ever existed. They'll demand to know why games with E ratings have age-inappropriate blood and gore and sexual content. They'll want to know why the cake was a lie. But with each customer, you must ask the same question. Would you like an extended warranty for only $2.99? If the one foretold comes by and you didn't ask, you've missed your opportunity and you'll spend the rest of eternity upselling video game magazine subscriptions to demons. But when the one customer does come by, they will suddenly want to trade in an unopened copy of Polybius for the Nokia N-Gage. The cartridge inside is Object 64 of 360. You won't want to be lost when they all come together.
Hey, Fearfic fans! Guess what? The three of us own r/Creepypasta on Reddit.
Yeah.
We do. It's ours.
Guess how that happened? Go ahead and guess, everybody. That's right. I asked the guy running it if I could have it, and he said yes.
What a mark.
No, I think we're the marks, because I think he was like, holy shit, someone wants to take this off my hands? Good luck. But yeah, r/Creepypasta, we have sort of made some changes to it. I made it look a little better, and now nobody will ever delete Death from the Deathsons, because we're in control of it.
It's enshrined.
Yeah.
True.
As DP suggested in a private call in which we conspired about what to do and how to screw over the community, we will be pinning Death from the Deathsons at the top of the page.
We can do it.
Permanently.
We have unlimited power.
Once a year for an entire week, we will just pin that
Yes.
story.
Just
No.
April Fool's Week.
What we'll do is, once a year, every year, we will have a sock puppet account ask whatever happened to the Death from the Deathsons story, and then we'll pin that to the top. And we'll link it in the comments. Here's what you're looking for, bud.
Absolutely.
But yeah, also I set up r/Stay Awake, which is not in any way a ripoff of No Sleep, but it's how I would describe it is sort of like No Sleep, but without, the rules that suck. Yeah.
Stupid ass rules that both hamper creativity and encourage bullshit.
So that would be reddit.com/r/Stay Awake. And one of the rules on Stay Awake, one of the rules says don't use stories here in your narrations or other shit like that, or your books or whatever, without contacting the author and making sure it's okay, which could easily be added to No Sleep, but instead they're going to do a blackout, I guess, to protest people using stuff.
Good heaven.
But yeah. And that's about it, I guess. r/Creepypasta is now in the hands of the people. These three people.
3 people,
Yes.
not the people.
We will decide if you're worthy.
Alright, so guys, now that we're done recording that plug, let's get together and talk about our blacklist of people whose posts are going to delete automatically.
Fucking Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah, never allowed ever again.
Yeah, what was his story about speaking in class today, hey?
Yeah.